Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. My name's Martyn Warwick and I'm in partner conversation with 4 guests. So without any further ado, let's begin with the gentleman on my left, who is Bart Salaerts, who is Head of Solution Architects EMEA at F5. Bart, welcome.
Thank you.
And on his left is someone I've met before, Lynn, Director of Market Development Network Platforms Group at Intel. Lynn, good to see you and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And on Lynn's left is Campbell, Strategic Global Partner Manager, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, also at F5. And last but by no means least, an old friend down at the end of the table there, Werner Schaefer, who is VP Sales and GTM Network Functions Virtualization Communications at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. That's quite a mouthful, but thank you for all for being here. I'd like to begin by asking you, together but separately as it were, to comment on this. How long have F5, Hewlett Packard Enterprise and Intel been in an NFV-focused partnership?
So Intel and F5 have worked together now going on 7 months, longer than that with regards to just pure server side, but NFV specific. And in August of this year at Intel Developer Forum in San Francisco, we were allowed to actually use Intel products to demonstrate functionality and performance of our product based on the Intel technology.
Okay, thank you. How does the utilization of ecosystems such as network builders and OpenNFV support an application company like F5?
So I think one of the most important things that these kinds of ecosystem programs can do is bringing partners together that might not necessarily have interacted on that given technology. And so bringing companies like HP and F5 together through network builders, or bringing them all together through OPNFV, allows the overall testing and pre-checking of the environment to be done in advance of any end customer setting a purchase order in place.
Okay. Werner, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, when we started the collaboration between Intel and HP in the ecosystem, and keep in mind it goes way back. We had first discussions around Spectrum, which is something that we did 3.5 years ago actually, and then it evolved into the network builder side on the Intel side, which had a little different focus. Then we started the OpenNFV part of it, but we always work that together. We share a lot of them, not just the members, but we also share the infrastructure and the resources there to do that. But it still makes sense to walk in lockstep there in parallel, because there are some nuances, and there are always partners that may be more closer to potentially someone else, but they want to be on the Intel technology, and on others that are closer to us. So it makes a lot of sense. At the end of the day, we're trying to accelerate the market. That's what we all have in common. That's why we do it. And it works pretty well, I think.
Okay, Werner, thank you very much. Let's move back to F5. Pat Campbell, can I start with you? What was your experience in testing your IP Local Traffic Manager, the LTM, in the OpenNFV Partner Lab? What was it like?
So because the F5 technology split data plane and control plane some time ago, testing in an NFV environment allowed this local traffic manager to be onboarded really quickly, right? The premise on which that core technology or that core capability, we started there first. Load balancing appears to be what we see most in demand from carriers. So the onboarding, and now eventually we'll work with Intel and HP on performance going forward. But it was an easy process for us. So we see our portfolio, we have in general 14 or so, and Bart will talk a little bit more about what that portfolio is. But we see an easy step forward going on from our first test on LTM.
Okay, Bart, over to you.
Yeah, I think also what we've seen is that obviously F5 is a company, we have business in the enterprise space we have a long history there, we have a good installed base in service provider as well. Now, virtualization as a concept is nothing new for the enterprise space, right? Even though NFV is a relatively new concept in the service provider industry, virtualization and to a certain degree orchestration has been deployed in enterprise networks and big data centers for quite some time. So for us as a company, this whole NFV thing is not really something new we had to develop from scratch as opposed to some other vendors in this industry. So for us it has been, as Pat says, relatively easy to get integrated into a solution from HPE in a relatively short period of time.
Given what you've just been talking about, what are the next steps in utilising this partnership to provide communication service providers with pre-tested VNFs?
So sequentially, we're going to test the virtual network functions that we think are most in demand. So coming up next, application firewall, behind that DNS, eventually service chaining of those three. But through the portfolio at large, we'll continue to build out control points and security capabilities. What our portfolio is and why we've been so successful in the market is because we offer functions that help carriers put solutions like virtual customer premise equipment, those types of use cases. And that's what we'll test next going forward.
Okay, thank you. Bart, what do you add to that?
Yeah, if you look at, Pat is obviously working on the corporate side, making sure we have pre-tested solution. I'm from the field, so I work together with my HPE colleagues in the field. We're trying to figure out what do the customers really need, and obviously I feed that back to Pat. If you look at the types of solutions that we as F5 have been selling in terms of physical equipment in the industry, we're talking about, in the mobile space, we have mobile GI LAN solutions where we can work together with HP because there's certain components like DPI capabilities, carrier grade NAT capabilities, some firewall capabilities as well, which we can leverage on that front. On the IMS and the virtual EPC control plane, we have diameter traffic management, we have SIP routing and SIP security, DNS as a component, both in terms of security and DNS delivery are things that we're working on. So we have a nice portfolio of use cases in several different areas: virtual CPE, IMS, mobile GI LAN, and I think it's really going to be based on customer demand, feeding that back into Pat's organization and make sure we have that pre-tested and integrated as a whole solution.
So Werner, Schaefer, how does the HPE Open NFV ecosystem help communication service providers with time to market, with interoperability and NFV deployments?
The ecosystem build out, the Open HPE, Open NFV labs, and the work we do together is all about helping the CSPs to get there faster with the pre-testing, with the interoperability that we obviously test in our labs with the partners. And I think that if you look at the industry right now, it takes someone that has that experience coming out of the IT world for so many years, who's used to the interoperability. We all had relationships, almost to say, long before we entered this new NFV SDN market from the IT world, where interoperability is a long-standing thing. It's nothing new for us. So that actually gives the carriers, CSPs, however you want to call them, the operators, the confidence that when it comes out of our labs, it's really there. And quite honestly, I think that's the right place where this should happen. I know there are some news outlets who think that they should go out and do interoperability testing and talk about that, but I really have a hard time seeing where that comes from. There are folks who've done this for a living for many, many years, and we've all done this together, and that's what we bring, quite frankly, to the party here.
And Lynn, do these two ecosystems share resources or collaborate to leverage a shared vision of enabling an open approach to NFV? And if so, what is it?
So absolutely. I think the common element, or one common element between HPE and F5 and Intel, we all want the market to make it as easy as possible to deploy as quickly as possible, because that solves our customers' problems, but at the same time, it helps business get moving faster. And so everything that Intel does, we have open network platform, we just give that back into the industry. We put it in OPNFV, we welcome HPE to use it, we welcome anybody in the ecosystem to use any of the test tools. Anything that we can do to get things moving faster, we will share across the companies, because the end goal is our customers' problems are solved faster.
Very interesting to hear a partner conversation at this sort of level. Lady and gentlemen, thank you both and all very much indeed.